disrespect for people that I have disrespect for. I don't care if they're a woman. I don't care if they're a man. Like, I have disrespect for Pete Buttigieg. He's gay. Shoot me. Like, this is such a stupid way to look at politics, and then something that really no real person ever does. Like, that is the reality of the situation there. No real person looks at politics and be like, I can't laugh. She's a woman. Like, if I think your politics are bad, if I think your politics cater to elites, and you suffer a setback, and I think they weren't laughing. I think this is a different thing, honestly. Now that I think about it, I think they were laughing at her. I think that they were laughing at him and then his ridiculous claim that Amy Klobuchar was bold standing up there. They weren't laughing at Amy Klobuchar in it of herself, but you can laugh at anybody you want. It's a free country. I was cackling again, as I said before, when Beto O'Rourke periscoped himself dropping out of the race last night, because I think he's a fraud. I think he's an awful candidate. I think he only chose guns to make a big issue because it doesn't upset anybody. And he's dropping out of the race. He's a loser. And that's funny to me. I love to hear the wails of his supporters of despair when an awful candidate drops out. Sorry. Like, again, they're not laughing at Amy Klobuchar. They're laughing at Joe Lockhart. This is what they're laughing at. This segment of, obviously, Kyle Clinton's supporters, who, by the way, had more supporters in the audience than anyone else. You can tell by the tape in the audience there. So, yeah, this is it.
It's not cool.
Not cool.
Don't laugh at a woman running for president. That's all I'm saying. Just have respect for a woman who is running for president.
We're laughing at you.
Because she's a fake. Guys,
I love coming here to get booed by men who say they don't have a problem with sexism. It's really, really fun. It's really fun.
What if Caitlyn ran? We can make fun of her, right?
Come say it to my face.
Exactly.
Guys, really, seriously, let's have a little respect for the panelists. Go ahead, Joe.
No, the point is that just because you are in the middle of the party or the left, the challenge is, how do you incite voters?
You
All
can't.
voters.
This is my last question because we do have to go. Kyle, you and your folks have...
Like, boldness. Like, Hillary Clinton didn't excite a single voter outside of, like, Brooklyn and the Upper East Side, or the upper, like, whatever the hell Zerlina Maxwell and these people live, or L.A. Like that's why she lost. People, like, a lot of people voted for her because they didn't like Donald Trump, and a lot of people, you know what, they didn't vote. Why? Because they weren't excited. A lot of people voted for Trump because he excited them more. Like, that's a reality of the situation here. Anyway, here, let's just continue with this.
Have provided so much of the energy in, if not the party, then Politicon, but also the party.
Yeah, like, that's another point. Like, they've provided the left is really right now, I think, so much of the Democratic Party, because, like, that's who's making the enthusiasm. That's who's showing up to the rallies. Like, you don't see 26,000 people showing up to, I don't know, Pete Buttigieg. You don't see Joe Biden. Like, I mean, he gets a lot of the donors. Pete Buttigieg gets a lot of donors. Give me credit for that. But no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, so that is the reality of the situation there. Let's see what else he has to say.
Party. Do you vow that whoever of the 7 highest-ranking Democrats right now in the polls,
this is
whoever
my
gets the
favorite
nomination, you'll vote for and advise your people to vote for in the general?
Well, first of all, everybody who follows me is independent-minded, so whatever I do, it's not necessarily going to reflect what they do, okay?
Well, what would you do? You're just Kyle.
I would have no problem voting for Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren.
Right, but what about all the other ones that I...
Like, exactly. Like, that is the big... Like, that's the big reality of the situation.
They're going to have to come get my vote. I'm not handing my vote over to them. Now, listen. That doesn't mean I'm not
And again, just sit back and, like, this seems like a pretty, like, people have to, if they want to come run for office, like, they have to come get one's vote. Like, that's normally how it works when you run for office. Like, it's called campaigning. It's called convincing. It's like, it's the idea of, like, what America's found. Like, we've been doing this since, like, 1800s here. Like, that is the reality of the situation. I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that so much, but that's the way things work. That's the way things always have worked. So sit back and watch the outrage over someone saying, yeah, you're going to have to come and earn my vote. Like, based on what you say. You're going to have to come and talk to me and the people who believe similar things that I do.
Vote for them. If I have a conversation with, let's say for argument's sake, even though it's not going to happen, Amy Klobuchar and Mayor Pete gets it. I know, right? And so if I talk to them and they say, hey man, listen, I'm gonna work with you, do everything I can on raising the minimum wage to a living wage. I'm gonna work with you on issues X.
And that's a completely fair thing to say, because you're gonna get people all over the left who are gonna be like, no, I'll never vote for them, Bernie or bust. They'll just come and walk into power and then turn our backs on the people who got them there. Like, and that's people. A lot of people felt burned after Obama with that, and I think very much rightfully so. And who's to say that they won't get that same sense again? Like, that is the same reality of the situation that is like that. That's what everybody is thinking about now, and I think very understandably so.
Y and Z. You know what? A deal's a deal. We don't get everything we want in politics, but sure, then no problem. But I do find it curious that, of course, you asked me that question, but others aren't asked, hey, what if Bernie Sanders wins? Would you support Bernie Sanders?
Okay. Yeah, I find that maybe she will. But I find it very, very hard to believe that people who have spent so much time casting him out are going to welcome him in. Come on in. Come on. Like, that's just not the way it works. Like, it's very, very hard to unify after a fractured party, especially when you have whole factions of said party dedicated to pushing this guy out. Like, that's just not how like, you saw with Joe Manchin. He's supposedly a Democrat. He said he literally did not rule voting out for Trump. And I think we're going to see a lot more like that, because when things come, when the choice is between fascism and democratic socialism, the business people and the elites are going to choose something more fascist than something more socialist every single time, because it caters to them. Just that simple.
As soon as we have a nominee, I'm going to send him a max check. Okay? I don't care. There's one moral imperative. It's not agreeing with me on everything. It's beating Trump. And if that's the
I'd like to see that picture he's going to send to Bernie Sanders. That's for sure.
But they don't have to. Go ahead.
You can put a button on this whole discussion.
No. Listen, this is the problem, which is, we've got this purity test that people who, go for a candidate that I might support.
Ding, ding, ding. Like, that crosses it off the board right there. Purity test for me. That is how you know you are dealing with, like, someone who just has an IQ of, like, the room. Like, the temperature of the room. Like, it's like, they're talking about, a purity test. Like, that's just, stop. Again, it just annoys the crap out of me. That is for sure. Yeah, so on that note, I don't think that, I really hope these people do not just end up deciding the Democratic Party in this Democratic primary and who gets to be our nominee. Because if people like McIntosh, Carville, Maxwell, if they are the ones who are going to be able to, like, ring this primary for Bernie Sanders, yeah, we're kind of screwed, folks. New episode of Newsflash coming tomorrow. Episode 347 was this one. We'll have a 348 tomorrow for you with Glenn Bradford.